Well, we got some breaking news out of Major League Baseball where Luis Castillo and the Mariners have agreed to a 5-year, $108 million extension that, per multiple reports, the deal includes a 6th-year vesting option worth another $25 million. Seattle acquired the All-Star righty at the deadline from Cincinnati. So for reaction to this, we've got former MLB Executive of the Year, Jim Bowden, with us. Jim, what do you think? 5 years, $108 million with a 6th-year vesting option for Luis Castillo.
Yeah, look, Jerry Dipoto, the general manager of the Mariners, as soon as he made the trade for Castillo, he made it very clear that he wanted to extend him to a long-term contract, especially after he gave up a tremendous prospect package to get him from the Cincinnati Reds at the trade deadline. And so he's worked diligently to get this done, and I know how thrilled he is right now to be able to get this deal done with Castillo, because that assures the Mariners of a long-term starting rotation as they begin what they think will be a 4 or 5 year run in terms of being a playoff contender. Remember, in 2021, they signed Robbie Ray as a free agent to a 5-year deal after he had won the Cy Young Award with Toronto. And Logan Gilbert and George Kirby certainly have proven in the short period of time they've been in the big leagues that they're going to be mainstays in the rotation as well. So this allows the Mariners to get a very strong 4-man rotation. They will control all 4 of those starters now for at least the next 4 years. So it's putting themselves in a really strong position. And I think the thing about Castillo that was a game changer this year is he really started to make adjustments in terms of understanding analytics and how to make his fastball more effective. And although the velocity, the average velocity, has stayed the same at 97, the length and the location of the pitch is the best it's been. He's throwing his changeup less than he has over the last 3 or 4 years. He's throwing his slider a little bit more, and those adjustments gives him this huge payday today. So, look, I think this is a fair deal for both sides, but more importantly, because the Mariners gave up so much to get Castillo, I think it was important that they were able to sign to a long-term deal like that they were able to do today.
All right, CBS Sports Major League Baseball writer Matt Snyder has entered the chat. Matt, you heard what Jim Bowden had to say about it. What do you think about 5 years, $108 million for Luis Castillo?
I think it's a very good deal, and actually it could end up being a bargain. Now, he's been very inconsistent throughout his career. He looks like an ace at times. He'll go through stretches for 8 starts or so where he looks just completely lost. But when you get the good version of Luis Castillo, you're getting an ace. And looking at that average annual value, like I said, it could really end up being a bargain. He's pitched like an ace this season. And I think what I like the most about the deal, and Jim was touching on that as I came in, how they're set up for the next few years. I like that they have a Cy Young winner in Robbie Ray, now an all-star in Luis Castillo, to serve as their kind of top 2 guys. Gives it a nice soft landing, kind of an on-ramp for youngsters like George Kirby and Logan Gilbert, to where there's not going to be pressure on them to pitch like frontline starters here toward the beginning of their career. It looks like it's going to be a really good rotation for several years to come here. The Mariners are pretty well set up on the position player side, as long as they can get Julio Rodriguez back from that back injury sometime soon. But, you know, the future looks bright in Seattle, and we haven't been able to say that in a few years. So I really like this deal from that point of view.
All right, so both of you guys seem to like this deal a lot. The Mariners, 20 years without a playoff appearance, longest in the 4 major sports in North America. How close are they, Jim?
They're going to get it done. I mean, they have the 3-game lead right now over the Orioles, but they also get the tiebreaker. So basically, it's a 4-game lead right now in Baltimore. With only 2 weeks to go, it's going to be really hard for Baltimore to find a way to sneak in. Now, it doesn't look like the Mariners are going to be able to get the top seed, so they're going to have to play on the road in the wild card. But, you know, keep in mind, this young starting rotation they have certainly capable of surprising teams in the postseason. When you run out there Ray, Castillo, and Gilbert, you certainly can beat any American League team in a 2 out of 3 series. So I think the key for Seattle is going to be the health of Julio Rodriguez and the back issue that he's dealing with right now. They need to have Rodriguez come playoff time, I think, if they have a chance of advancing. But the playoff drought is going to end here in 2022. And really, I think it's going to be the beginning of a nice run, because when you tie up the pitching like they did today with Castillo, now all the resources you have going forward can continue to improve on the position players. And there's so many talented position players that are going to be available in free agency. The Mariners have told me they're planning on spending again in this offseason. So they're going to be a really interesting team to watch come November and December, not just October.
Yeah, and speaking of the playoffs in Seattle, let's keep in mind this is a fan base that they lost the Supersonics. They have this playoff drought right now. Russell Wilson just got traded away from Seattle, so the Seahawks are going through a bit of a rebuild right now. So this is the team in Seattle right now that this fan base can really, really rally behind. It would be really cool if they could advance in the playoffs and they could get some home games there. Maybe they can play their way up into the first wild card there, where they could host the second wild card. Maybe it'd be Seattle and Toronto. That would be really fun. But I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing them get some home playoff games, because I think it would be an absolutely electric atmosphere there in T-Mobile. They can rally behind this team. It's a fun team. They go through stretches offensively where they're very inconsistent and sometimes maddeningly so. But when they get hot and they get guys hitting, like if they can get Winker hot and Suarez, along with getting Rodriguez back from injury, get Mitch Haniger going, and stuff like that, when they get rolling, it can be a really fun team to watch. And it really does start with the rotation here, and that ties us back to this deal with Castillo.
No doubt about that. Matt Snyder and Jim Bowden, thank you so much for your expertise on this day that the Seattle Mariners have signed Luis Castillo to a 5-year, $108 million extension, or have agreed to that extension with a 6th-year vesting option. And again, the Seattle Mariners have the longest active playoff drought in the 4 major sports, 20 seasons and counting, but they're very close to locking one up in Major League Baseball this season.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.